question.
Um, I would just say one thing on the choice that we may or may not have. I tend to agree actually with the Prime Minister that it is not a choice between the US and the EU, and I think the government should be wary of being put in a position of making false choices. I think there is a choice to be made, and it is a choice I think that's perhaps different from what many people think is the choice. I think there is a view that you've got these three big regulatory blocks. You've got the US, the EU, and China, and we've got to make a sort of choice as a third country sort of between them. I don't think we do. I think the choice is between two sort of operating systems. I mean, one is an operating system based on mutual recognition and equivalence and adequacy and those kinds of things, um, which is the relationship we currently have under the TCA with the EU, which could be expanded and deepened in terms of mutual recognition and so forth. I think that's the kind of agreement the US will probably put before the UK. It may well be some sort of USMCA accession. I think it's more likely to be a bilateral offer agreement that is going to be heavily based on the text of the USMCA, possibly even simply the text of the USMCA as amended, because Trump is in the process of using tariffs with Canada and Mexico to probably renegotiate the USMCA. I think where we are going to be challenged and where there will be difficulty is the rules of origin of that USMCA offer from the US will be very, very tight. They will be very illiberal. Um, and so the question then becomes, what does the UK do in response to that? And I think that's why I've recommended, and our Trade Facilitation Commission, that's headed up by your colleague Lord Agnew, has recommended that the UK join the Pan-European the PEM Convention, which is essentially a rule of origin convention which allows you to accumulate across your European and North African supply chains. And I see no problem doing that and doing a USMCA with very quite restrictive rules of origin. In fact, in some ways, that combination could drive manufacturing into the UK, which would not be a bad outcome. So I think there isn't a choice between the EU and the US here. I think there is a are you going to follow the regulatory mutual recognition kind of approach with regulatory competition and recognition, or are you going to choose some sort of alignment to EU rules? And I think alignment to EU rules prevents you from improving your own regulatory system. It damages your independent trade policy. It doesn't, I think, achieve very much in terms of the paperwork that would still be required because you're outside the customs union and internal market. And so I think the better choice is to follow the TCA and trade agreement model, which we also are part of through the CPTPP. And I'll close by just saying that the CPTPP itself, which we've obviously already signed up to, when President Trump in the first Trump administration pulled the US out of the TPP, he simultaneously renegotiated the NAFTA agreement into the USMCA by, in large measure, porting over a number of the chapters from the TPP. So we've actually signed a lot of the chapters that would be in the US offer already, which puts the UK in, I think, quite a strong position for this sort of process going forward.
Thank you very much indeed. A lot of issues there. We have a separate session next week, actually digging even deeper into the trade issues, but thank you so much for that.